Well, welcome back. In my last video, I did a very quick tutorial on how to retouch skin, and that went down very well. And so we decided to do a little follow-up. Now, this is a technique for taking out red blotches on skin. This particular image is a picture of my daughter shot on a beach in Spain, and as you can see, although she has suntan lotion on, she's got a little bit of red patches underneath the eyes here and on the nose, which I've accentuated here so that you can see it a little bit better. Now, this is a technique a friend of mine showed me, and I believe she got it from a retoucher called Guy Garnest, I think is how you pronounce it, and she does a lot of beauty retouching here in the UK. So this is a technique that this was passed on to me, and again, it's a very quick and easy technique, and so I thought it'd be useful to show you in this video. Right, we're now in Photoshop CS3, quite an old version of Photoshop, but you could probably do this in Photoshop Elements as well. Okay, so I'm going to remove this curves layer, which is I just put on really just to darken the skin down so you can see the blotchiness. So I'm going to just remove that. Now, the reason we've got these like magenta red blotches is because there is a discoloration in the skin. So to correct that, we can use an adjustment layer. And we're going to use a selective colour adjustment layer. So we'll do that by going down to selective colour. Now, you've got a choice here. We can just go straight in and make the adjustments, or first, if you want to, you can make a selection of the skin. I'm not going to bother with that. I'm just going to go straight in and make an adjustment layer. So I'm going to go into selective colour. And what we want to target, this really is going to depend on the type of skin and how light it is. But we're going to be targeting the magentas to start with, but we may well need to go out of there and into the reds. But we'll start off in magentas. And what we want to do is reduce some of the magenta in here. Now, if I increase it, you can really see those areas popping up a bit better. So I'm going to reduce it and see how much that's going to make a difference. You can see as I'm sliding, you can probably see on screen now, the lips, the fingers, and the cheek areas are coming out quite nicely. So drop that down about 80%. Now keep an eye on your image because you don't want some nasty side effects when you start messing around with selective colours. You can get some unwanted discoloration in other areas. Also, we can try and add some yellow. Now, I don't think that's making much of a difference in this area. So let's leave that back at 0. Let's go into the reds. And we've already done most of the heavy lifting here already, but sometimes it's worth going to the reds and seeing what happens there. And we don't want to take this too far, but you can see that's making quite a big difference. But it's making a big difference to the majority of the image. So we can mask that out a bit later on. So let's just drop this down a bit more. So that's where we were at 0, and it's still quite a bit of red in there. So let's drag this down to around 30%. We can always come back and adjust this, and just try adding in a bit of yellow again to counterbalance that. About 20% doesn't look too bad. And the other thing we can do, if you want to lighten the skin a little bit, we could perhaps take out some of the black if we want to. Bear in mind, don't worry about the hair, we're going to mask that off. And somewhere, perhaps around 30% looks quite nice. Click OK. So now we can have a look at before and after. You can see that's made quite a big difference. So the next thing we're going to do is to just mask the image and just apply those adjustments just to the skin. So we now need to just mask off the selective colour adjustment. Now we could highlight the background layer and go in with maybe the quick selection tool and just highlight the skin. I'm not going to bother with that. I'm just going to go in here with a paintbrush with black as the foreground colour. I'm just going to enlarge my brush, and I'm literally just going to paint over the edge of the mask here. Make sure that the mask is highlighted, make sure the opacity is up 100%, and just going to go around and paint away the areas that I don't want the adjustment to affect. And you know, we're not it's not going to affect the image greatly on this particular one, but on some images it will, especially if they've got clothing that may affect the adjustment you're making, may affect the clothing. So I'm just going to carry on and paint away on this mask where I don't want the adjustment to show up. A good phrase to always remember is black conceals, white reveals. So if I Alt or Option click on the mask here, you can see where I've painted already. The white's revealing the adjustment, the black is concealing it. What I do want to do is come in a bit further, and you'll notice that the adjustment, if you look at her lips, adjustments really affected her lips as well. Now, I don't want them to obviously go quite that pale. I'm also going to go over the eyes very quickly. You may want to take a little bit more time. And then obviously go over the lips here somewhat. And if you find that's a bit too much, which it probably is, we can just drop down the opacity. If you haven't got a pressure sensitive tablet, just drop down the opacity. Maybe just come in a bit gently and bring that back a little bit, and the tongue. And that'll just enable us to have a bit more of a natural effect, like so. Okay, like I said, done that quite quickly. Let's just zoom out. And that's why really we don't really need to be bothering with the mask on this image. We can just literally paint away the adjustment. So there's before, there's after. So again, we've come quite a long way in a very short space of time. So our image is pretty much finished now, but there's one other thing I want to just discuss with you. When you're making these kind of changes, it's always a good idea just have a quick look. At the moment, this looks absolutely fine, but what about if I change the blending mode to let's something like, say, color? Look at the difference. There's before. There. Look at her freckles, and now change it to color. It's brought the freckles back out, and what the color mode does, it just enables the color information to come through. So we're still getting all the changes that we've done, correcting that redness in the face. As before, there's after. But what it enables us to do is we're not changing any luminosity values. So if we decide that actually we didn't really want to lighten the skin quite so much, we could perhaps go and just try that color mode. And that retains, as I said, just retains her freckles in her face, which actually I prefer. Or we could just go back in, and remember, you can still go back in and maybe change the black content in there as well. So always worth having a little fiddle around with these adjustments. That's what they're there for. So I hope you've enjoyed this, and hopefully see you on the next video. Cheers for watching. Bye bye.